Why don't we tell secrets in San Francisco? Because it's a city known for its notorious fog, and you never know how far your whispers might travel. Welcome, folks, to the city that basks in the glory of the Golden Gate, but shrouds itself in a veil of misty mystery. San Francisco, a charming city where the weather dons a capricious character, flipping from sunny smiles to foggy frowns in a matter of minutes. Now, you might wonder, why all the talk about fog? Well, it's not just any fog, it's the legendary San Francisco fog, as much a part of the city's identity as its iconic Golden Gate Bridge. Its presence, while providing a dramatic backdrop, has also been the butt of many a joke, much like the one we started with, and that's San Francisco for you. A city that laughs in the face of its quirks and embraces them wholeheartedly. So remember, folks, if you've got a secret to spill, maybe San Francisco isn't the place to do it. Did you know? The San Francisco cable car system is the world's last manually operated cable car system. But don't worry, they don't let just anyone drive these things. Now, when we say manually operated, we don't mean there's a guy at the front cranking a giant wheel, sweating buckets, and yelling, "Heave ho!" No, it's a little more sophisticated than that. These cable cars are a fantastic bit of history. They've been clanging their way up and down the hills of San Francisco since the late 19th century. And those hills, let me tell you, they're not for the faint-hearted. Some of them are so steep you feel like you're climbing up a wall. And going down, it's like a roller coaster ride, but with fewer safety measures and more bewildered tourists. But back to the cable cars. These beauties run on a system of underground cables that are constantly moving. The operator, or gripman, uses a lever to grip the cable and pull the car along. And to stop, they simply release the grip. It's like a giant, street-level, citywide zip line. Now, you might be wondering, what qualifications do you need to drive one of these things? Well, first you need to be able to pull the lever. Sounds easy, right? But these levers require a hefty amount of strength. It's like trying to win a tug-of-war with a very stubborn mule. Second, you need to have a good sense of balance. Remember those steep hills I mentioned? Well, they're not any easier to navigate when you're standing on a moving vehicle. And third, you need to have a good sense of humor. Because, let's face it, when you're driving a cable car up and down the hills of San Francisco, you're going to encounter some pretty hilarious situations. So, next time you're in San Francisco, take a ride on the cable car and remember, no backseat driving. Contrary to popular belief, the Golden Gate Bridge isn't actually gold. It's international orange, or as I like to call it, Golden Gate Disappointment Orange. Now you may be wondering, international orange? What kind of a color name is that? It sounds like the title of a Jason Bourne movie. But the truth is, the color was chosen because it complements the natural surroundings of the bridge and enhances its visibility in fog. And let's be honest, San Francisco and fog go together like peanut butter and jelly, like Simon and Garfunkel, well, you get the idea. Here's a fun fact though. The original plan was to paint the bridge with black and yellow stripes for maximum visibility. Can you imagine? It would have looked like a giant bumblebee stretching across the bay. The Golden Gate Bridge was opened to traffic in the year 1937. That's right, this grand old lady has been standing tall for nearly a century. And boy, does she have some stories to tell. During its construction, 11 workers tragically lost their lives. But this was actually considered a safety triumph at the time. The norm was one fatality for every $1 million spent, and the bridge cost $35 million. Grim, right? Over the decades, the bridge has weathered countless storms, both literal and metaphorical, and continues to be one of the most photographed structures in the world. And for good reason. With its towering suspension cables and striking color, it's a sight to behold. However, there's one thing I must warn you about. If you ever come across a guy trying to sell you the Golden Gate Bridge, don't fall for it. It's a well-known scam. I mean, come on, it's not even real gold. But despite the color confusion, the Golden Gate Bridge still stands as a monumental icon of San Francisco. Just remember, you can't sell it for its weight in gold. Alcatraz, the infamous island prison, is now a popular tourist spot. Talk about turning a negative into a positive. It's like your ex who was a total nightmare, but now they're someone else's problem. And you get to watch the drama unfold from a safe distance, popcorn in hand. Alcatraz, also known as The Rock, has a history as rocky as its nickname. It was once home to some of America's most notorious criminals. Think Al Capone doing the Charleston in the prison yard, or the Birdman of Alcatraz tending his aviary of jailbirds. Now, I know what you're thinking, but witty and sophisticated voiceover. How did it turn from a grim prison into a must-see attraction? Well, my curious friend, it's all thanks to the magic of time and a sprinkle of Hollywood glamour. You see, after the prison closed down in 1963, it was basically a big, old, empty rock. But then Hollywood came along, making films about daring escapes and hardened criminals, and the rest, as they say, is history. And speaking of history, let's not forget the Native American occupation of the island in the late 60s and early 70s. They claimed the island as Indian land and held it for 19 months. It was a significant moment in the fight for Native American rights. But today, Alcatraz is less about prison riots and more about audio tours. You get to walk around the old cell blocks, hear stories of infamous inmates, and if you're lucky, a seagull might poop on your head for that authentic Alcatraz experience. And the best part, you get to leave. That's right, unlike the prisoners of old, you get to hop on a ferry and wave goodbye to the rock. Just remember, don't drop the soap or your camera. So if you're looking for a place with history, mystery, and a boat ride, Alcatraz is your spot. Just make sure you don't get left behind. Well, folks, we've come to the end of our tour through San Francisco. Don't worry, the fog hasn't swallowed us up yet. But if it did, we'd just be another San Francisco mystery, like why they call it the city when it's clearly surrounded by water on 3 sides. We've had our fair share of ups and downs, quite literally, thanks to those world-renowned hills. We've discovered that the Golden Gate Bridge isn't actually golden, a fact that's got us questioning everything we've ever known. We've also had a rocking good time at Alcatraz, the only place where being behind bars is a tourist attraction. Let's not forget our stroll through Chinatown, where the fortune cookies are as unpredictable as the city's weather. Or our pit stop at Pier 39, where the sea lions are the unofficial welcoming committee and the clam chowder is worth every clam you've got. And remember our time at the Painted Ladies, where the only thing more colorful than the houses are the people living in them. And speaking of colorful, let's give a shout out to the Castro District, where the rainbow flag flies high and proud. Now for a final fun fact about our beloved city by the bay. Did you know that San Francisco is built on more than 50 hills? That's right, 50. No wonder the city is such a workout. It's like Mother Nature's own Stairmaster. But don't let the hills scare you off. In San Francisco, every uphill battle is rewarded with a breathtaking view. It's just one of the many ways this city keeps you on your toes. Thanks for joining us on this whirlwind tour of San Francisco. If you enjoyed the ride, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more. Because remember, in San Francisco, even the fog can't hide your support.